Learning Perek Aleph Halacha Yud in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah. Ma'u zeh shebigesh Moshe Rabbeinu lahasik. What did Moshe Rabbeinu want to attain? When he said in Peirush HaMeir, show me your glory. We learned earlier in Halacha test, the Rambam writes that a person can never comprehend or totally encompass within his mind the true truth of Hashem. He wanted to be He wanted to know the depth of the truth of the existence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of God. It should be known in his heart, just like any other person recognizes the second person when he sees his face, and his appearance is found in his heart. Shenimsa oiser ish, that we find that person is nifra b'dati mishar anoshim, is different than other people, meaning that two people comprehend each other more than others people comprehend them. Kach bikesh Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted liyos mitzias HaKadosh Baruch Hu nefredes b'liboy, that the existence of God should be separate in his heart, mishanim tzoim, from other things, other known items. Until he'll know the truth of the existence of God as it is. The Rambam explains this with a simile. Somebody sees the face of a person till he knows him, recognizes him, and is friendly with him. Here too, even though he doesn't know every aspect of that person, but still he won't make a mistake between him and someone else, because he recognizes his face. So too, HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to recognize the existence of God in such a way that it should be separate from any other things that are known to him. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered him, it's not possible for the intellect of man, who is a living man, which is attached to the physical body and to the spirit, to comprehend the totality of the truth of this to its very essence. But he did show HaKadosh Baruch Hu made known to him a greater concept that no one else knew before him or after him. This means that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to have the ability to sort of recognize. I wouldn't say to know, but to recognize. But Baruch Hu, he can only get the recognition of sometimes from the back. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him the completeness of that intellect that a person could possibly comprehend. Rambam learns this from the Pasuk. It says, there was never again a prophet of the stature of Moshe Rabbeinu among the Jews, Yesodei Hashem ponim al ponim, that God knew him face to face. Until he got to the point of Me'amitas HaMetzim, from the true existence, that God's intellect is different than the concepts that what we call intelligence. And just as somebody who you recognize from the back, just like when you recognize a person who you know closely, you can know it's him even though you don't see the face. Although this is what the Pasuk hints at. You shall see the back of myself, but you can't see the face. The Rebbe questions the Rambam. Amar Avram. My thoughts are not at peace with this. because he saw in Sinai 40 days when he went to get the Luchos, what another Novi never saw either, until the Malachim were jealous of him and they wanted to push him away, until he had to hold on to the seat of the heavenly throne. And what more does he need beyond that he asked after he came down? He wants to see more. And still, if that was his request, what was the answer? And I will grant clemency to that who I shall grant clemency. The Ravid questions everything that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to recognize, either the glory of Hashem or the different attributes. He, in the 40 days that he was in heaven, he attained them. She came in Gemara, so we find the Gemara in Shabbos 88b. When Moshe Rabbeinu went to get the Luchos, the Malach HaShos wanted to push him away, and the Ravid understood that the jealousy was because he attained more of an understanding of God than they did, and therefore, what was he asking for? And the Kesef Mishnah answers that the jealousy of the angels of Moshe wasn't on what he attained in understanding the glory of Hashem, but he wanted to bring down the Torah to the world, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu had to hold on to the heavenly throne to answer them a proper answer. The second question of the Ravid is, if that was the request, what did he need the answer of? I shall grant clemency. So I guess the Mishnah explains that the pasuk is referring to the following: that Moshe Rabbeinu's understanding, and you'll see my back, which a person cannot attain, is because a person is physical, but you shall get it as a present from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, something beyond the understanding of man. The Ravid himself explains that the pasuk that Moshe Rabbeinu asked to be shown the glory of Hashem, means after the sin of the golden calf, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, I will not go up with you together because you are a stiff-necked people, lest I destroy you on the way. If I'm not with you, I won't destroy you. Moshe Rabbeinu said that after Hashem said, I'll send my angel, so Moshe Rabbeinu said, I don't want an angel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself should lead us. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepted, and he said, my face shall go before you, and I will permit it, meaning it will go. My holy presence will go before you into Eretz Yisrael. What is it? Ponai Eleich. What does it mean? My face. It's what people of Shalom said to him, and your face goes within, in the midst of us, meaning one face towards the other. So Moshe Rabbeinu continues to ask, if you do not go with us, just a Shechina, don't take us up from here. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be with them in the Midbar, and not only in going into Eretz Yisrael. And to this too, HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed and said, this too that you spoke I shall do. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu said, show me your glory. I want to see now that your glory is found with us now. So according to the Ravid, the glory was would be with the Klal Yisrael after the sin, and that's why Hashem says, I will show you Ani Avi Kol Tuvi Al Ponecho. And he did as Moshe Rabbeinu requested, to have his divine presence with Klal Yisrael in the desert as well. The Rambam explains, you shall see my back, but my face you shall not see. That Moshe wanted to understand the truth, essence of God, as if he saw his face. HaKadosh Baruch Hu denied him this, and he only showed him what we would consider the back of someone. The Ravid writes, Ponai is a great secret, and you can't show it to everyone. According to this, the Migdal Oz writes, there are many aspects of studying Torah. There's the hidden Torah and the revealed Torah, and the Rambam wanted to explain the back and the front, like he mentions in the Moreh Nevuchim, the guide to the perplexed, that here he wrote to answer the philosophers that they made difficult the simple understanding of the passages in the Torah, and therefore he made it in Arabic so that people would understand it. But he knew that the true belief is even greater, and it's only can be given over from mouth to mouth, and secret more so, as it says in Chagiga, and as he says at the beginning of the Machon Nesher. Now, the Rambam know Kabbalah. Miguel always writes that the Rambam knew Kabbalah, and he states witness that he saw a sefer which was written on parchment, very old, and there the Rambam writes that he went down to the very inner compartments of creation to understand when the end of days will come. And it was very close, the words of the Rambam, to the words of the true Mukubalim, true Kabbalists. And he continues to say, it brings proofs that the Rambam knew Kabbalah. The Sefer Shem Amunim HaKodmoin, which is the Rae Gann, he has a dispute between two people, Shaltiel and Yesodei, and Shaltiel says, did the first commentaries have Kabbalah? Why didn't they come to be heard to the Rambam, that nothing was hidden from him? Yesodei says it could be he did not know, because in the Ruchim he writes the Rambam, he doesn't know the name of 12 letters or the 22 letters, even though he had a Kabbalah from Rav Haigoin. Still it did not come to his ears. So you see that there were things that even though he was present in his time, he did not know about it. On the other side of the coin, you can say that at the end of his days he learned Kabbalah, as one of the Mefarshei Rambam of Nachmanides in Parashat V'Salach writes, Rav Yaakov went to Mitzrayim and he gave over Kabbalah to the Rambam, and from his great joy he was praising it to his students. But this was only close to the final days of the Rambam. The Abarbanel also states witness that the Rambam wrote in a letter at the end of his days that a person came to him and he told him things of depth, and he writes, if not for the fact that it was the end of my days and my Rambam was already known in the world, I would recant from some of the things that I wrote in them, and therefore these are the words of Kabbalah that he heard at the end of his life. Mama Shaka brings in his shuvot, in his response, the language of the Rambam that he wrote in a secret letter, Kabbalah, things that are very that have great depth and hidden secrets from the true Kabbalah. And in this response, he says these words, and he proves that the Rambam did understand Kabbalah at the end of his life. The Chidor writes, in the name of Reb Chaim Vital, that the Rambam was from Cain, from the root of Cain. Two sons were born to Adam Rishon, Cain and Hevel, and therefore he did not understand the Kabbalah, even though the Migdal always writes that the Rambam did deal with Kabbalah. It could be that he knew some of the names of Hashem, but he did not study the hidden Torah. He brings further the name of Shoshan Soidos in Savyad, that they're not sure if the Rambam knew Kabbalah or not. The Marami Padova, that was the first editor of the Rambam, and he was a Makubal, writes that in an old Sefer he found that the beginning of the Halacha is not a question, it's not a question what did Moshe Rabbeinu want, but rather it's that sort of Zeu Shabigesh. This is what he wanted. He wanted to know the truth and the Atzmus Haboiri, the totality of the Creator. So it writes the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, and in Chizdik Arkash, Talmud Ran in his Sefer Or Moshe writes that these things need a lot of explanation. According to the Ridvaz, in his response, our Svarim, our text is very correct, because it's a question that is explained in depth, and then an answer. And what the Maram Padwa explains and differentiates between something that's totally truth to something of understanding its existence, we don't see that specifically in front of us. And the difference between them is heavy, because after you cannot understand you cannot comprehend, you cannot totally visualize this truth. Therefore, that can't give you a proof to his existence. And he writes that the question is very ancient and deep, and many of the commentaries speak about it. And my own mind is not at ease in everything that I saw, only through Kabbalah, and it needs a preface to the words. Hareinu is not seeing with the eye, but rather seeing with the heart. Because till now, Moshe Rabbeinu heard HaKadosh Baruch Hu through a sort of like a interpreter who told him what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. Now he asked that there be no intermediary, and here we cannot go into this idea. But once you will become wise, then study this and live and study other things, you'll become even wiser.